business world, we all know that success is only possible when there is trust, whether it is from your employees, customers, or partners. At Verity Intelligence, our vision is to make the world a safer place, one community at a time, by ensuring that everyone you meet, you can trust. We believe that trust begins with the people you hire. When you hire good people, they will do good things. And that is exactly what Verity Intelligence does. We help good people get jobs and help companies hire good people. This is where our journey started. Our employment screening services go beyond the ordinary. We are able to verify every detail to ensure you are not just hiring someone with the right skills, but also someone with the integrity you need. Every year, we assist hundreds of organizations in saving millions of dollars from potential losses due to negligent hiring and fraudulent business transactions. Established in 2010, today, Verity Intelligence is recognized as one of the leading background check companies in Malaysia and Singapore. We work with over 70 financial institutions and screen over 100,000 people annually. More importantly, we ensure 100% Bank Negara Malaysia BNM compliance and help you meet your organization's due diligence requirements. Our story doesn't stop there. Our commitment to trust but verify now extends to screening your customers, vendors, and suppliers. And that is where HaloCheck comes in. At HaloCheck, our goal is to identify potential risk and stop fraud so you can interact with confidence instantly. With immediate search results and report generation, we can give you that assurance, as well as ensure you meet all regulatory compliance with just one check. Serving as a one-stop platform for secure onboarding, seamless compliance, and due diligence, HaloCheck is your proactive defense, empowering anyone to make informed decisions. In a world of uncertainties, Verity Intelligence and HaloCheck are your trust guardians. Secure your team, protect your business. Let's build a future where trust is never compromised. Join us to make the world a safer place, one community at a time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Top in Tech. I'm glad I didn't say Top in Tech Innovation Awards because for some of you who may have been watching the live stream yesterday, we just had our once a year, Top in Tech Innovation Awards ceremony yesterday. So, okay, I'm glad I got that right. But that awards actually was born out of this, regular, Top in Tech series, right, that we've been having since April of 2020. So today we've got an interesting topic, as you can see, right? Democratizing, interesting, how screening in our digital age. And we've got, normally I know for those of you who watched us before, we typically have 3 panelists, but today we've got 4 panelists. So we're going, and I think those of you who have participated or as the audience in our previous, many series, is that we take your questions seriously and we will answer your questions. So if you have any question, please put them down and the 4 panelists will be looking up for the questions. There's no questions which is a silly question or which is a simple question, right? Because honestly, when this topic was suggested and I was talking to Mark, I was like, wow, really? In this age with everybody having a link, or not everyone, but a lot of us, right, having a LinkedIn account, is trust and verifying the authenticity of someone really an issue? And then suddenly realizing that Mark's company has been around since 2010, like, wow, this, and not just in Malaysia, they've proven themselves in Singapore. So we do have a subject matter expertise, and we've got 3 other people from the ecosystem, to give their viewpoints or so. So we'll have a nice cross-section of views. And how we always start this, of course, we're going to take, everyone will come on the screen to share the screen with me for maximum of 3 minutes to give their opening remarks and their thoughts on this. And at the end, we're going to have a key takeaway also. So please stay with us to the end and have your questions coming. And with that, then, I'm just going to start with having Tan, to join me on the screen and to have his opening remarks first.
Hi, good morning, Karam.
Good morning.
Hi, thanks for having me here. Just a quick introduction of myself. I think this is kind of a very interesting and very relevant topic that I think we have. So basically, my name is Tan. You can if you call me Tan if you want. And I'm the president of the Malaysian Institute of Estate Agent. And I've been in the real estate industry for the last 15 years. I practiced in Australia, Melbourne as well for a couple of years as a licensed estate agent in Australia as well. So I kind of know how they do it differently there. So hopefully I can share some of my experience there.
I didn't know that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and prior to this, I also serve in the Board of Valuers, Appraiser, Estate Agent, and Property Managers as one of the ahli lembaga, the board member there. They are the regulatory body for the estate agent, valuers, property managers profession. And I'm also in some of the focus group discussion on in some of the government agencies, and also one of the this AMLA. When the government initiated AMLA, I'm also one of the person who in the discussion group. So I think Nazri is also there with me. So that's basically a little bit about me lah, Karam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. So let's now bring on Darren to have his opening remarks first.
Hi, Karam. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Welcome.
Good morning, and hello to everyone who is participating in this webinar today. So yeah, just a quick introduction of myself. My name is Darren Lai. I am a practicing lawyer. And generally, in my 15 years of practice, I've always been involved in disputes resolution, right? And recently, I don't know to say fortunate or unfortunate, but I've been involved in some fraud litigation, right? So I suppose that's the reason why I'm here to give a bit of insight onto how fraud, perpetuated in certain cases, both online and offline, right? And just to give a little bit more introduction of myself, apart from being a lawyer, of course, I am also quite actively involved in the Bar Council's Environmental and Climate Change Committee. And I'm also involved in the ESG matters, where I'm also a active member of the ESG Association of Malaysia.
Okay.
So I believe there are some topics on ESG today. So I'll try to share whatever I can. In any event, pleased to be here with Karam and the rest of the panelists. Looking forward to fruitful discussion.
Yeah, actually, I was surprised to see a question on ESG, and that I mean, the audience, people who RSVP will submit questions before, and one of you picked that question to answer. So I would have thought it's got no relevance today. So for those who are listening, I'm going to be learning as much as all of you are, right? Listening to these four gentlemen share their thoughts on this topic. Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And now let's bring on Nazri, who's an AMLA screener. So a very important person for all of you all to know.
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My learners, Mr. Karam. Yeah, a little bit a background about myself. I was a financial investigator with the regulator, with the central bank, doing investigation on anti-money laundering, and currently I'm doing more on awareness and also training with the financial institutions. My forte will be on AMLA and also investigation. Of course, when we talk about AMLA, so that is also related with fraud and also scam.
Yeah.
I think the topic is very good topic discussion, because we are talking about Malaysians who got scammed. Guys, every day when we open our newspaper, you read newspapers, you will see that people got scammed. You open your media, social, people got scammed. Whether professional people, whether people in rural area, whether people in urban area. So that's the reason why when the government have set up this national scam response center in order to combat this kind of activity. And thank you for inviting me to share my thought during this 1 hour sessions. Thank you, Karam. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, good. Now let's bring on Mark, to share some background on his organization and why he thinks this is an important topic. And by the way, Mark, I was at a networking event yesterday, and I was just saying, I'm going to be, moderating a panel, and I give the topic of the panel. And then people thought that yours was, and somebody say, hey, interesting that a private investigation company is interested to have a conversation like this online. And I said, hey, I never thought to ask whether maybe before 2010 were you know doing private, you are a private investigator yourself.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I wasn't a private investigator. I was a headhunter,
Oh, okay.
actually. So, interestingly, so when I was a headhunter, I discovered that, there are a lot of people who lie in their resumes.
Okay.
And because they lie in their
lying or just stretch the
lying.
truth?
Well, it's a good degree of lying, and some very embellished. And I discovered that it was very difficult for headhunters because when you place somebody to your clients, it's very expensive. You
Yeah.
charge 2 or 3 months of their salary, right? And then you get, it gets found out and it's embarrassing and it's, troublesome.
Yeah.
So I discovered, okay, before 2010, I was just thinking, shit, there's something, that we can do over here, you know? And I started researching and I discovered in Malaysia, only private investigators did it. And they charge about 10,000 ringgit per candidate.
Oh, that high. I didn't know.
Yeah,
Wow.
so only much larger organizations, public listed or even multinational companies can afford. But even if they can afford, they normally do it on the C level, the
Yeah,
C
of course.
level, CFO level, because they can't afford so much.
Yeah.
So I told myself, okay, how do I help more people? Because a lot of people get hired and there are many more different kind of embellishments, right?
Yep.
And so I created my own process. I did a lot of research. And discovered that in America and in the UK, they had this screening process.
Oh, okay.
I created my own reports, and lo and behold, here we are 14 years later. A lot of times people don't realize that that the cost of a wrong hire is between 10 to 15 times of their salary.
10 to 15 times. That is
So,
insane. Wow.
yeah, then that's one of the challenges. And when you don't realize that, because when you onboard somebody, I mean, assuming that there's recruitment costs,
Yep.
power spending their time, they onboard, they come in for 2 or 3 months, sometimes
True.
even 6 months.
Yes.
And later on, you discover all this time is wasted. And then you got to look for another person again. And then that's, so it's between 10 to 15 times of the salary.
Oh, okay.
So most of our customers who understand this are normally financial institutions because they do have very stringent standards because they want to maintain their integrity, right?
Yep.
So a lot of customers use us,
Sure.
multinational companies. But we're still trying
Yeah,
to reach out to SMB to educate them to use this. Also recently, I think in Singapore, we've just been awarded. So we're one of 12 companies in Singapore that's been awarded to do all the employment path screening of their education certificate. So we're quite proud of that.
Education, very specific. Okay.
Because Singapore, whenever they bring in a lot of foreigners that work there, and they discovered that a lot of people lie in their certificate. I mean, as in Malaysia also, we have that problem. But Singapore, they took a very proactive approach. So they want to make sure that they bring in people who have the academic standards.
Okay.
So they appointed 12 companies in the world, and then we are one of the 12 companies.
Sorry, 12 companies from around the world.
Around the world, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So outside of
Hey,
Singapore.
that makes you world class, man. Well done.
So we're quite proud. Thank you. So we're proud that we're doing that right now for them.
Okay, excellent.
Then 2020, how I started HaloCheck in 2020, I almost got scammed. In the midst of 2020.
You yourself.
Right? Yeah. So we're working with a lot of people online. And then, we discovered, oh, this guy tried to scam us, right? Because we wanted to develop some stuff for our company. And then we discovered that this guy was a fraudulent guy. And then we thought, okay, this is it. So I started my own team of developers. And, we felt that, okay, since our expertise was in a lot of regulatory compliance, we developed a system to actually screen for KYC and, to focus on how do I democratize it to the other industries. So there are a lot of other industries, such as the non-financial guys, that bank the governs. So you're talking about lawyers, accountants, real estate agents, company secretary. So we developed this product that is affordable for them to screen, on whenever they onboard a customer. So that's how HaloCheck got started.
So it's quite a recent product, yeah. Okay.
Very recent, and now we've got a couple of hundred clients. And yeah, so
Okay lah.
yeah.
So just a quick one, because you just mentioned, so a lot of these folks you're listening, this is very spontaneous, right? But you mentioned that you are now one of 12 companies in Singapore to so that means they'll be screening students who get accepted to Singapore schools or universities or colleges lah, right? Basically.
Employment pass. So we are screening for people who want to get a job in Singapore.
Okay, just to get a job.
Outside, yeah.
Whether it's white collar or blue collar lah.
No, for employment pass holders are 4,000 Singapore dollars and above.
Okay lah, some in Singapore, even bus drivers are getting that much. Blue collar also, right? Or you remember you see the ad, they want to hire Malaysians, the 4,000 Sing dollars.
The employment for that range is about close to 2 million people, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Singapore. So eventually, those that's there already, they also need to get screened.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, sounds good. All right, good. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So now let's have all the other three panelists come on the screen. And basically, as you know, I always typically only ask one question, then we take all your questions. And my one question to all of you, and we'll go back to the beginning and we'll start with Tan, right? Is simply, right, why do you feel this is a relevant topic, right, to your ecosystem?
Okay. I'll try to keep my answer short. I know we have a lot of panelists. Okay, basically, I think the need of this, what you call screening is basically, I look at two elements. Let's see to the profession. That means to your
Tan, do you want to just pause your video then?
To your client. That means how your responsibility and your duty of care to the what do you call client and a public at stake. So I think just like you guys, Mark, and mentioned just now, screening is just like employment screening. We talk about employment screening first. It's just like whenever you hire a new staff, you do a medical checkup on them, make sure that they are fit and healthy. Yeah, and when you insurance also, when they buy insurance, you need to have some declaration to say that you are fit, you are free of other sickness or whatever before I cover you. So there's some certain declaration because they want to make sure that you're fit, and things like that. So before I take you in as my employee, then of course the duty to the public is that I want to make sure that you are able to deliver the service. You have it's like QC, right? Make sure that my staff can deliver the job and ensure that the public is protected, because especially in real estate, there are a lot of public liability involved. So we have to make sure that our staff, our agents are able to carry out their job well. And it also give the firm a reputation. If your agents are not, are not doing well and they are not, then people will say that this is your company, all your staff are all tabli pakai on. So in certain sense that is that area lah. Of course, the other thing is your responsibility as a profession. In real estate, I think Nazri will know. I think Amma also know that. I think even Darren will also know that one of the requirement in the Act, we have an Act, requires that the registered estate agent under the Act is not a bankrupt, is not convicted with fraud and dishonesty. Under the Section 22A of the Act 242. So it's also a requirement by the Act that we have to declare and we have to make sure, it's not a screening, but we have to declare that, because the Act says you cannot have, you cannot be a bankrupt, you cannot be convicted of fraud, and you must be 21 years above, things like that. So these are some reasons. As I said, I just summarized. One reason is because it's the requirement by the Act that we need to do in screening. And also number two is your responsibility to the profession and your client. So that's why I think it's important.
Okay, interesting. Just a quick one. I think while Tan was talking, he kind of froze for two instances. But was that only on my screen, or gentlemen, you all also saw him freezing?
Yeah, it was frozen. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So just a little bit.
Then it's my line.
So so what you do, Tan, maybe when you're speaking next, just close your video, because people only need to hear you, right? Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I don't know which part you all miss.
No. Only when you are talking, right? Then you can mute your.
Yeah,
video.
because
Okay,
just now
we missed what we missed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because
Yeah.
because it's like a train, you jalan only.
Yeah. Correct,
You don't know
correct.
what's happening. So my apologies for that, lah. But I think
No. It rarely happens, so don't worry about it. So okay,
so basically, I just summarize two things lah. Why you need to do a screening is responsibility to the client and also to the profession. Number one, and number two is the requirement by the law.
Yeah.
That we need to do that.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
So now let's move on to Darren, and the same question for you also.
Yeah, thanks, Karam. I think in terms of ecosystem, well, as I am a lawyer, I'm also a partner of the firm, so I'm also hiring people, right? So, and the people that I hire really essentially are lawyers, So I think in terms of screening so far, although it may be a bit of a old system, it's been in place for ages, but for now it is working for us in terms of hiring lawyers, right? Because each lawyer that we hire ought to be, number one, qualified under the Legal Profession Act.
Yeah.
Right, and that is protected by the Act. And in order for us to hire someone who is unknown, I think on top of the LPA, the Legal Profession Act, there is the Bar Council registration, where you apply for what we call your CGL annual and practicing cert, and this issuance of these certificates are also guaranteed by the High Court of Malaya. So in that sense, screening for law firms in hiring is already been done by.
But what about legal assistance? I mean, you all rely on legal assistance play a key role also, right, in the work you all do.
Correct. So that's the first portion. The second portion, of course, I think in hiring the legal clerks. But Karam, if we say legal assistant by way of the LPA, it is an associate. It is a lawyer.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but if you're hiring, like say, legal executives, or even paralegals, or even
paralegal
clerks, accounts managers, office managers, whatnot, then yes, certainly this screening is certainly important. All right. In order for us to find out basically what is their background essentially, and I think that is where Mark's system would come in quite handy.
True.
Really, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that's the first portion, if I may share, in terms of hiring an employee issue.
Okay.
There's of course the other portion of the law firms taking on clients and clients of high risk.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So essentially now, I think Mark mentioned earlier that lawyers are also now regulated by BNM, Bank Negara, to put in our DCR, AMLA compliance mechanisms, right? Which every year, I think it's about this time, we ought to actually give our feedback, and then we'll get a report card whether we're doing well or not doing soon. So I'm going to go through the exercise soon. But yeah, in terms of that, so that is where, because of the DCR AMLA regulatory compliance, it requires to do our KYC on our clients. So, and the usual way that we've been doing so far has always been, if it is a company, we do a SSM search, winding up search, just to make sure they're not wound up. If it's an individual client, IC search, bankruptcy search, etc., etc. But this has always been the normal ways that we've been
normal
doing.
way, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. So, and that is the part of the KYC, right? So, of course, nowadays, with the list of individuals or companies being listed under the SC list, BNM list, or even the Ministry of Home Affairs list, I believe, that becomes an additional requirement for us to basically do that additional screening, right? In order to get my green tick in my report card. Essentially. Okay. That's the second portion in my ecosystem. I think the third portion in my ecosystem is about how my clients, when they make their investments, for example, when they're ready to make some investments and they're ready to depart from their money for something, all right? And as I mentioned, I've been doing some litigation on investment frauds.
Okay.
Should call it alleged investment frauds at this point in time.
Yes, correct.
I think this the whole screening system works for my clients in the sense that before they actually depart from their money, they have to have some sort of due diligence and background check, or else that's what they'll end up with, no return to the investments,
Yeah.
or the perpetrators running away with their money with nothing at all. So I think in my ecosystem, it's wide, it's pretty
Yeah.
wide, but I think the whole screening process is very, very important.
Yeah. No, your firm doesn't do criminal, right?
No, we
Okay.
don't. We
So
don't.
interesting, Mark. If you do criminal, I mean, if somebody is convicted or is or not convicted, is accused of a serious crime, right? I mean, how do you do the verification there? It's interesting because he's relying on you, the firm, to save him. But that's not for this stuff. But just kind of struck me that if you take it all the way down that level,
Good point.
people who are accused of serious crime will have a real issue trying to convince the law firm that they are authentic, meant to be verified. Wow, interesting. I won't go into that. And then I'll just quickly ask Nazri now also the same question. By the way, there's already a question from someone related to blockchain for screening purposes. Probably, I think, Mark, you'll be happy to take that, but later. So, Nazri, your thoughts on this question first?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Karam. So, basically, when we talk about screening, I just want to highlight that Bank Negara have come up with the National Risk Assessment 2020, where it highlighted that the five high-risk crime are fraud, corruption, organized crime, drug trafficking, and last but not least, on smuggling. So, among the five high-risk crime in Malaysia, that will be threatened to the business activities, financial sectors, and also to DNABP would be these five high-risk crime. And for your information, ladies and gentlemen, when the Bank Negara come out the National Risk Assessment in 2017, the results still the same. The five high-risk crime will be fraud, corruption, organized crime, drug trafficking, and also smuggling. So it gives an indicator to the business people, to the industries that, guys, you have to do something to protect your business. We are talking, for example, the financial institutions, they have their customers. We are talking about lawyers, accountants, company secretary. You have also your own clients.
Yeah.
So in order to make sure that we are saying that you need to protect your organization, you have to screen because you need to ensure that your prospect clients, customer, or in fact might be the employee doesn't involve in fraud activity or any activity nakal-nakal. So that'll be number one, my point. And when we talk about screening, those institutions, the reporting institutions under Anti-Money Laundering Act in Malaysia, they are required to conduct the name screening. Okay, for example, financial institutions, insurance industries, takafus, lawyers, accountant, company secretary, real estates. So they have to comply with the requirements, the AMLA's requirement. And one of the requirement is to perform this name screening. Now, we are talking about when you are doing the name screening, it's not only to detect the possible or the possibility that the customer might involve in fraud activities.
Okay.
But more greater towards sometimes where we able to detect that there is a possibility that the individuals or the entity are blacklisted by the United Nations Security Council, for example, because involved in terrorist activities.
Okay.
For example, recently where we talk about the NPOs, where I mean, when we read newspaper, the FBI highlighted a few Malaysians being linked to terrorist organization. Now, if the organizations, if the business have done this name screening, and I believe they're able to detect this kind of the potential issues and so on. And of course, the challenges for the business when they want to do name screen, so they will ask, meaning to saying that, yeah, if a financial institution is a big company doing screening, it should be okay because they have the budget. Now, for us SME, can we some sort of like get exempted to do the screening? Why? Because we are just only SME, a small medium enterprise doesn't have much capital, doesn't much have profit. So can we count it on that? I'm always saying that, I mean, from my own perspective, even though regardless whether it's a big firm or small firm, SME, but there is a requirement. Because why? at the end of the day, you want to protect your business.
True.
Because you're talking about reputational. Reputational issue is something I think is greater lah. You have to up your business and so on, your reputation. But because of one incident, it will tarnish the organization. And it's not easy. And I believe that's why, for example, we have Mark. I think later maybe he can explain detail whatever that he can offer to the public and also to the organization.
Yeah.
Because I know that people have concern about the budgets. Because they say that, oh, because of your SME, so can we just to have it exempted? So basically no. And last point, if I wish to highlight that I think in 2023, if you read newspaper, there are a few reporting institutions. I think I don't have to mention the names lah. I think public are aware. We have a few entities which has been fined by Bank Negara because failed to conduct sanction screening.
Oh, really?
Sanction screening. We have from insurance industries. We have this takaful operators. We have also this payments operator where these three and also from money services business. They got fined by the Central Bank of Malaysia. Why? Because they failed to conduct and perform the sanction screening. So these are the clear message given by the regulator saying that, guys, there is a legal requirement. You have to comply. Once you did not comply, they consider breaches. Once breaches, there will be a penalty.
Okay.
So meaning to say you have to follow as what Mr. Tan mentioned, highlight, and also then highlight. There is a legal requirement. You fail to comply, then there will be a consequences. Then I stop here.
Okay, no, interesting. So, it's nice that you mentioned, our regulator has fined some companies last year. Singapore is a fine city. So if you but you must be very happy to be doing business there, man. Lots of opportunities for you.
Correct.
So you want to take this also, Mark?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Nazri. Yeah. So the question is, can you afford not to screen? Assuming that if you're looking at employment screening, you're talking about 10 to 15 times the salary. Assuming that you're looking at a minimum wage, 1,500, or you hire a junior admin clerk who's looking at your accounts book, if the person steals some money from your account, assuming if you're a law firm, your estate agency, if you're holding your client's money and they have access to your checkbook, right? And they do forgery there. Can you afford that losses or not? Even if you can
somebody with that entry level, you're paying them 1,500, 2,000, but they got access.
Because employment screening, the cost of employment screening it starts at 100 ringgit, right, per person. And it goes up to, very senior levels at about 500, 600 ringgit. So the question is, it's not about the cost of the check, but how much are you willing to risk? Are you willing to risk it? And when it comes to customer due diligence, I think there was a question also on the cost. A lot of SMEs, we created a product that would tap onto the SMEs, and it costs about 200 ringgit a month. And you can do unlimited checks, all the KYCs you want, and you can do all the name screening that you want. And it meets 100% of your Bank Negara requirements.
Okay.
So so basically we've created products so that we can democratize it. We understand that when we wanted to democratize means people can afford.
Yes, correct.
And people can access it. So that's why when we built HaloCheck, it was with that in mind that we could actually go into the market to support, people who are in a non-financial spectrum. Because a lot of big boys that the banks and insurance companies, they can afford the $1 million systems. But a lot of SMEs can't afford that system. So that's why we developed this 200 ringgit package, and then so that they can comply to everything that Bank Negara wants with regards to AMLA.
Nice. Okay, great. Thank you for that quick and concise answer. So now let me move on to the questions from the audience. And I think, Tan, I'm going to start with you. Matthew, you took a question from Matthew, who's actually from a real estate company, right? And asking whether, I think just now Nazri was saying, SMEs are making the argument maybe they should be exempted. So Matthew is asking, should the real estate agents be exempted from AMLA? Interesting.
I think it's very clearly stated in the Act already, the AMLA Act. I think Nazri will also can share. The registered estate agent is one of the reporting institution under AMLA 2001. So it is by law that is not exempted, unfortunately. But I think it's a blessing in disguise, right? So try not to see in a negative way. see in a positive way. So we are required under the Act. So the simple question is no, we are not exempted.
And I can understand that. I think globally, right, they find that people who've acquired wealth through illegal means will end up investing it in property, right? And maybe not directly in their name through others. So I can totally understand the logic for this.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I think along the way, the discussion later on, we'll discover, I think I'm sure you all want to know why, how, what are the challenges, what are the importance. Probably
Okay.
we'll discuss that later.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, okay, let's move on to Darren, right? So, look, Darren, this is a question from Ruiz Ramsey, who's with a tour company, right? And he's asking, what is the mechanism to protect, for protection, to protect, I think, to protect mitigating fraud and scams?
Well, okay, it's a very general question.
Yeah, true.
It is.
But again, because some people will it's a, and when I see question like that, I think the person also is trying to grasp and really understand it, right? So it's good for you to take this and try to answer that.
Correct. Well, I think in mitigating fraud and scams, of course, the key word to this is due diligence.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
But what is due diligence in today's day and age, right? Of course, in due diligence in a very conventional manner. For example, in let's say a merger and acquisition kind of deal, you go into the company, you check their records, etc., etc. But for Ruiz, right? If I'm not mistaken, what's his name? The audience. For a tour company, a customer comes in and say, I want to buy this tour package.
Okay.
So how are you going to do that, really? So I suppose the mitigation towards that is, of course, you have to number one, check whether this person is an actual real person. Look for IC, passports, and I suppose bank accounts will be a bit difficult in that
difficult. Yeah.
right? But at the very least, do that to ensure the identity of the person is there, right? And of course, follow up by things like okay, let's give me a deposit first, lah, right? That's to protect in that ecosystem, all right? But I would just like to perhaps since the question is quite general,
Yeah.
share from the perspective of for example, I did share it earlier, like investors perspective, people who wants to depart from their money, what kind of protection, what kind of mitigation can be done, really? So that boils down to, of course, there is, of course, these days, like I mentioned earlier as well, there are lists available publicly.
Yeah.
There are certain companies which are triggered and flagged as linked to terrorist organization, or even to potential money laundering activities. So of course, these are the little things that you could take the extra effort, all right, before actually jumping into the bandwagon, so to say. So yeah, these are certain things that at this point in time, we could do to mitigate this fraud and scams happening. But of course, we all know fraudsters and scammers are very convincing.
Yeah, especially in the digital age, right? Which is why the topic I thought was quite interesting. But I'm just to quickly share, I'm booking a tour package now, right? To go to Sabah, and because they've got pricing for Malaysians and for non-Malaysians. But so far, I think they haven't asked for the IC, and the most important thing, the invoice that's company. So I think once your money is your biggest, stamp or that this guy is authentic and verified, right? Because money enter the account. So kind of interesting that he asked that question. Seems like maybe as the tour operator, maybe they have been scammed somehow, and I'm wondering how someone is so creative as to be able to get a trip for free. Then really, that's how you scam somebody. Normally it's the other way around. But anyway, we leave that. We don't. If Ruiz is actually on this session now, great if we can add a bit more perspective to that. But let's just move on to another question from Nazri, right? So, and I like this question, and it's asked by a senior lecturer from Asia Pacific University, Nadia Suki, and which is asking, how do we balance screening and personal data protection, and is candidates' consent sufficient?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the question. Okay, in order to respond to Puan Nadia's concern, now, because we know that in Malaysia, we do have this Personal Data Protection Act.
Betul.
And again, the reason why we have PDPA is to protect the data information in Malaysia. Now, how to balance within this PDPA and also screening? So how we can balance within the PDPA and also screening? Number one, we have to bear in mind generally, whenever any organization offer, for example, jobs or employment to the prospect staff, so the staff will fill up this information. And of course, at the end of this form, there's a very small thing mentioned. This information are used for the organization and they are protected under the PDPA. And the organization normally will mention that we are going to do your screening using our trusted screening providers and so on. And the prospect customers, the prospect staff already signed. When the staff already signed, meaning to say their consent the companies to do back screening and also background screening on the customers. So there is no issue. People saying that is there any potential breaches on PDPA? So my point is no, because there is a balance. Why? Because there is a written consent. How we know that there is a written consent? Because the prospect staff already signed. So that is where, and I think the organization also have to be fair, rather than asking the prospect staff, you provide your information and I'm going to do the screening. No, he or she, the organization must provide a proper documentation, a proper statement, and when the staff read, they know that okay, I know I give my consent that the organization will do background screening on my profile. So basically, there is a balance between the requirements of protecting information or data, and also from the employee's perspective from performing the name screen. So there is a balance. So the answer is yes. There is no issues or conflict, provided it have to be done accordingly. Because in Malaysia we already do have this PDPA, and everyone, the commercial organizations are required to adhere with the requirement.
I think for look, when you submit when you fill in a form, right? Because a lot of people now fill in form online. I'm sure the consent is probably just one sentence, right? You consent to us to conduct background check on you, right? And most people will 100% just tick that word, right? Or when they sign, you're signing for all the terms in there. So
I want to add on to that.
Okay.
Actually, the consent that we actually ask our clients, candidates to sign, actually is a one-pager. So that they know what is it for. Yeah,
not
it's
a
a one-pager.
one-line.
It's not a one-liner. So we try, one of the things that we want to make sure that people are aware that they're being screened. And these are the things that they are consenting to inform them what we're screening for. I think one of Nadia's concern is, will her private information be released?
Yeah.
To a certain extent, we can only provide information whenever we screen. We cannot provide your banking information and all these other details or your medical information. That is governed by PDPA. Even I can't search these information.
Okay, you cannot.
And I'm being regulated for that. Internally, we don't, we get audited by our clients to ensure that even in the destruction of our data and how we store our data, we are getting our ISO 27001 to ensure that information security is controlled. So all these standards are there to control abuses, even internally. Every hire that we have internally also gets screened. And we got phone recording systems, our computers are all, audited for to ensure that no abuse in candidates' information being, released.
Okay.
So, I think at the end of the day, even if, we ensure that whatever information we're screening has to be consented, and also it's got to be legally available information.
But Mark, medical information is important. If you're C-suite, right? Or even if you're mid-level manager, maybe especially now employers are all aware that all the young people all like to say they got mental health issues, right? So you want to,
even with consent,
I
can't go to the psychiatrist or whatever to verify that, what's his or her medical condition. Yeah.
You cannot, Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. So thanks a lot for jumping in there, Mark. So now let's move on to actually a question for you, right?
Oh,
Which is, in a way, Nazri was asking that also, right, as hypothetical. So this is from a person called Janti, right, Ramulu. And is it necessary for SMEs, right, other than financial institutions to do employment screening? So financial institutions, yes, but other small companies other than, or SMEs, she said, other than financial institutions to do employment screening.
good. I think for any company that faces talent issues, I think almost every size company will have talent issues whenever you want to hire somebody. If you don't have a talent issue, that means you've got no problem hiring people. And the people that you hire are usually good. Then, by all means, you don't have to screen. But whenever you've got talent issues, and then you've got positions that you're trying to hire for, poses some risk.
Okay.
Such as an accountant, or who've got access to certain information that could be detrimental or could be a reputational risk to your business.
Yep.
Then it's important. So some people even ask me, so I only screen for higher level people. I said, even your driver, right, that sends you to work, and your kids, he's a low level person, but his exposure to risk is your family, right, and your life. What if he's got a criminal record, or what if he's got a driving record of drinking and driving, and he's got a lot of embellishments, right? So the question is, are you comfortable with that? So any company that has information or any position that has access to certain risk, then you can screen. Like I said, our cost is the cost of the check is very low. It's not like what PIs would charge, but it's not like it's not affordable. Question is, can you afford, right? The outcome that if it doesn't work out.
Understood. Okay, great. Thank you, man. So by the way, just quickly looking, I think Bala just added a comment, right, for advice for everyone else. Thank you, Bala. And then I think Dr. Appadu Rao also asked a very interesting question, right, about because the government gives out big contracts, so and you all can take it later if you want to, right? So and it's like, how does AMLA check the business entities, right? That these organizations that get big government contracts, because sometimes I remember, especially when there was a big immigration contract given out, right? Last time, I think they call it SKIN, S-K-I-N, and it was like over R1 billion. And one of the parties was a new company set up, and everybody in Malaysia, already lah, alamak, this one, if you do AMLA check, it's a new company, hey, how can they get this? But I don't know whether you all want to answer that, can answer that, especially Nazri, but we'll move on to that question that people have asked already, right? So thank you, Dr. Appu, right, for asking that question. Very relevant. I just move on to a question now for Darren, right? This is interesting. Somebody's asked about how fraud is linked to ESG, and this is the founder of, it didn't give the name, but it's the founder of Trinity Eco. So how is fraud linked to ESG? So I don't know how you're going to answer that. Also quite broad, but Darren.
Okay, let's at the outset, let's just put it out right here. ESG is not a fraud. Okay.
Correct. Although if you go to the US, the Republicans think it's some kind of scam by the progressives, right? But we don't get into that also.
Yeah, let's not get there. But actually, personally, I very much believe in the process of implementing ESG frameworks in businesses. Okay, of course, there is issues of SMEs asking, so expensive, to do the ESG and everything. But I think it is a good thing. All right. But okay, anyway, to answer that question, how can it be linked? I suppose because ESG, there's three components to it. E for environmental, S for social, G for governance. I think this may fall into the practice of governance, where you are expected that if you run a business, you run a company, you ought to implement certain mechanisms to ensure that your company runs in the safe environment, for example, as clean as possible. And likewise, to run the company in the sense that it does not fall into any kena scam, or or fall into the category of being a scammer, essentially. So I think, and likewise, I think in terms of G, of course, you will have to have the directors will have to be accountable to 17A or MACC Act, right, where you need to have accountability as to corruptions and all these matters. So I think because it's so wide,
true.
I suppose that is how it can be linked.
Okay, link. Okay,
yeah.
fine.
Karam, I just want to add on. I think this ESG thing, one of the what like Darren said, how is it linked to this SME? I think from the ESG part, we see it like how do I say it? It's like a SIRIM certification. If your firm has an ESG, investors who want to invest in your company, employees who wants to work in your firm, people who want to give you certain contracts or certain job to do, they will want to make sure that your firm is able to do that. And it shows transparency to this and give confidence to all these stakeholders that your firm is a SIRIM certified. It's just something to give you assurance that your money is safe with us. We make sure that we do the right thing with your money. So that gives some confidence to the investors, to people who's going to work with you. So we look at it in that way. I think we like what Darren said. We look at it in that way. It's not something that's going to harm you. Something that's going to make your life difficult. Something's going to, things like that. So yeah, that's how we look at it, lah. It makes sure that your company is effective and you're not vulnerable to any. Or you got to make sure that there's no vulnerabilities to your organization. Things like that.
Understood. Okay.
There's
a question on cost for Mark, but before that, there's a question, Nazri, on government, because the question from Dr. Apu just now, right? Just and this is asked by Maverick Chen, who's a principal at KJ Global Art. What are the preventive measures taken by government to curb scammers activities? There have actually been a lot, so maybe we can quickly run through them so that we can get to the very important question of the cost of screening. That Mark will take it.
I think the cost of screening, as I mentioned earlier, for customer due diligence, it's 200 ringgit a month, unlimited checks. For employment screening, it starts at 100 ringgit per check and goes all the way up to 600. So
600?
Up to 600 for the maximum type of checks. So it goes about 20 types of checks: reference checks, education checks, professional membership, court cases, stuff like that.
Mark, you should
but he
tell them what is the cost of not screening.
Yeah, the cost of not screening is 10 to 15 times the salary.
But I think this Siva Swami was asking about employees, but also customers. Interesting.
Yeah.
Why would a customer want to screen? It sounds like
screen. Okay, so for instance, just like lawyers when they onboard a client, they need HaloCheck to actually screen the client, right? And the cost of check is a subscription, right? So we can run a KYC together with a name screening, and it costs at 200 ringgit a month. So you can run as many checks as you want, and within the system, we're able to do monitoring as well, and that's one of the requirements that Bank Negara wants. Monitor the particular customer.
Okay.
That sometimes the name will come up again and it's being flagged. Our system then inform you. So that's to protect you on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, you absolutely need that. Okay, let's Nazri answer the question about proactive measures by government, and then we are coming up to like the last 5 minutes, and then I'll come, and I'm hoping somebody can answer the first question that was on using a blockchain framework, right? If not me, then we will go to our wind up. But Nazri, what about the proactive measures taken by government to curb scammers?
I think one of the proactive measures by the government, where the government have set up this National Scam Response Center at the end of December.
But Nazri, that is not proactive crime. That one is after you can call and they'll take your comments seriously.
Okay, let me say that would be we are talking about government initiative, right? So that's from the government initiative. So in the NSRC, the members, they also have the members from financial. The victims, the public's concern is about their money. If I got scammed, can the bank block my account? Can the bank follow the money trade. So that is where
Okay.
the involvement of financial institution. So there are a few requirements being imposed by financial institutions. So that will be number one. Number two, there is where this task force also being joined by the PDRM, police, the investigation officer, and of course we also have this MCMC, the multimedia communications, and
Yeah.
also last but not least from the central bank. Now, the issue is right now because we are talking about we want to prevent people from being scammed
Okay,
before
correct.
you can scam. None of other things, the most important thing for Malaysian, for individuals, I'm talking about from a mindset as well, we have to do our own due diligence. That will be number one. Due diligence, your own assessment. Of course, we know that the Bank Negara or the police, the mahkamah, or in fact, the SPM, law enforcement agency will not call you and just request for password dan sebagainya. So that will
Betul,
be rule
betul.
number one. Rule of thumb. So that will be number one. So if you feel curious or you doubt with the requirement, you straight away to the bank. That is the measures. And of course, number two, you don't just simply click because there is a requirement by the central bank to the financial institution. Bank are not allowed to share any link to customers anymore.
Yeah, tapi
Okay, this is
most
our
people don't know
promotion
that
package.
lah. You're right. Yeah, most
Yes.
people don't know that. Yeah.
Then the next step is where you're talking about awareness and also training lah. Basically,
This is
this is
what
what we
Bala
have to
also was
create.
saying lah. Yeah.
Yeah, Bala saying also. So we need to reach out people, not only in the urban area, rural area, but we also have to educate our students, those the IPT students. So they have to make sure that every one of us have the responsibility to protect your account bank. That's very
Yeah.
good. Of course, the government have to do something, but
Yeah.
as a users, we also have to take
Betul,
responsibility
betul.
and
Yeah.
liability. Yeah,
Right.
us
Right.
it will defeat the
Yeah,
purpose.
really, I think that's right. Okay, good. Look, I just want to go to the last question about the first question that you was asked, right, by anonymous. But anyone wants to talk about blockchain framework? I think probably Mark, you are best equipped, right, to share your thoughts on this.
I would say that I'm an expert on blockchain, but
Yeah, of course.
blockchain
Or because
is
it's specific to CV screening, right, in the States.
so blockchain is just a decentralized server in the back end. And basically it just makes it cheaper to maintain. It's similar to a cloud. I mean, so there are many different technologies. You got cloud technologies, you got your own private server, you got your own blockchain. So this blockchain is just the type of technology you will use to actually minimize the cost and also some security level also because it's distributed within a few servers. So basically, blockchain technology and AI is just to me it sounds nice, but basically it saves you cost and the higher security in terms of where you're dispersing your information, and different people have different tokens and
Sure.
backend. Yeah.
I think what's interesting is that there's a school in Penang, national school called Penang Free School, and it's apparently the first English school in Southeast Asia. And if you go to the DNA website and you type in Penang Free School, right, or you just search on Bing, I use Bing, I don't use Google, okay, use Bing search, Penang Free School and blockchain. The school has actually hired a technology company to put all their school certs on the blockchain, and not just the new ones, but going back also. Yep. And it's kind of interesting because then it's immutable, right? And it's also, they say, convenient, right? You don't have to now, call the school or send an email, hey, I need my cert from 1997, huh? 1997, yeah, I'm doing something, huh? So and it's quite interesting. So one school has started, it's a national school, and I think other schools may start also because then it's so convenient for school leavers. All of us are school leavers, right? To have that document to be shared. So it's a trend that's happening and obviously make your job easier for screening, right? When you do your screening. Okay, cool. So look, what I'll do now is actually have each of you give your key takeaway. We've had a discussion now for about 50 minutes, right? Just each of you for 45 seconds, share your key takeaway. And really, the key takeaway is about, for the audience listening, is the one thing you want the audience to take away from today's discussion if they only remember one thing. So we'll again go back and start with Tan. What would be your key takeaway from this discussion today?
Okay, thanks, Karam. In fact, I got a long list of things to share, but
45 seconds, please.
Yeah, I really hope because these are all information very, very useful to the public. Okay, let me just summarize in terms of let's talk about my what I call ecosystem in real estate.
Okay.
what is important is there are three elements. Number one is the employee that we hire. That means our agents, our negotiator that's going to work with us. So we normally we will screen through them. In Australia, like I say, when we practice in Australia, it is the duty of the negotiator, it's the duty of the employee to declare, to provide the document, a police record check to say that I'm not a criminal, a bankruptcy check that I'm not bankrupt. They have to prove them to the employer before they join. In Malaysia, it's the other way around. I have to do a check on you. So in Australia, it's you to have to provide. If you cannot provide me this information, you cannot join my firm. Wow. So that's one thing that we need to think to, because so that's one thing from the employee side. Now, the second thing we deal with usually is our customers, our clients. So when we do a due diligence or a check on them, they will say that why, like I think some of panelists say, why you want to do a check on me? Why you want to, is it because you don't trust me? So we have to educate them that, look, the reason we do this checking is not because we don't trust you. It's because we want to make sure that it's compliance with the act, and we want to make sure that, it protect the public interest. If we do a check on you, let's say you are a buyer, we do a check on you, we will also do a check on the seller. So it also protects you. So we're not doing it on you, we're doing it on both parties. So we want to make sure that you choose the right tenant. The tenant is not someone who is a bad tenant, right? We make sure that the buyer is genuine, so that your money doesn't go, your seller is genuine, your money doesn't go to the wrong person. So we are here to protect you, not to interrogate your audience. So it's our duty to do that. So we have to explain to our client the reason for that, right? And third one is public. So when public deal with an agent, they need to know whether this is a real agent or a fake agent or illegal or things like that. So they can go to a website. This is for information public. The agent is regulated by the Board of Value Appraisal, Estate Agent, Property Managers. They can go to this website, www.lppeh.gov.my, to check whether this negotiator or this agent is registered to the board. Like what Nazri just said, you need to do your due diligence also. So we are here to educate and tell you where to do the check, how to find this check, so that when they check, they know that this person is a registered agent. And why I always emphasize that is because, like what Mark just said, some people, they can be an imposter. They come to you, they fake a certificate, they fake a certificate, they fake an ID. So if they do anything fraud wrong, you call them, nombor yang anda tiada dalam perkhidmatan. But if you deal with a registered estate agent, a person is registered, anything they do wrong, you go to the board, make a report to the board, they can find this person because this person is registered to the board. So that is how I hope you all can take back that these are something that I would like to share in a nutshell. But of course, there are a lot of things, but too many things. But this is what I want you all to take back, that it's your, I'm not saying it's your responsibility. It's a whole ecosystem. We as agents, we need to do our part. We need to understand our responsibility. So end of the day, the whole screening is basically, if you ask me to summarize, it's basically, it's transparency in the whole transaction, right? We need to be responsible to clients and also the society, right? And for that to happen, like what you just said just now, a lot of education and awareness need to be given to the public, like what you said, like what Nazri said, the banks cannot send out link. You need to do some awareness to them. Basically that's a short thing. I know it's more than 45 seconds.
But it's good that you share the website. Maybe you just type out the website also in the
I'll just put in.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put in a box.
Okay, great. So Darren, your key takeaway. So I got to keep you to 40 seconds because Tan has taken 5 seconds of your time.
No worries. I'll keep it short. I think the main takeaway really for all our audience today is screening is important in today's digital age where fraud and scam really can happen without showing a face, right? And I think to a certain extent, let me take a little bit of time. I think blockchain in that sense helps, just to answer the first question, in the sense that because it's a decentralized system, right? There are avenues to use blockchain to track down, for example, frauds based on crypto. So these are certain things that I think the blockchain will be able to assist in terms of screening, right? But yes. Screening is important, and I think the second takeaway that I want, that I think everyone should should be able to grasp is that, remember, and I think most of our panelists here have shared the causal link, right? Money is not the most important. There might be a big chunk of cash or a big piece of Bitcoin in front of you. Do your screening first before actually being succumbed by this, right? Because the fact is that if you're caught in that causal link as a part of the chain of money laundering acts, the trouble is much deeper. Right? So I think that ought to be the one of the most important takeaway from here.
Okay,
Nice.
great. Thank you. Okay, Nazri?
Yeah, okay. Number one, I just want to highlight that due diligence is not a tick box exercise. Please bear in mind, due diligence is not a tick box exercise. It's just whatever the information you got, you just validate, you just take as good as it is. Why? You need to validate the information. You need to challenge the information. So number one, due diligence is not a tick box exercise. Number two, when we talk about screening for entity, you are required to conduct screening on the beneficial owner, directors, and also shareholders as well. And nowadays, the trend and also typologies of money laundering and financial crime, all people are looking to the beneficial owner. And beneficial owner is very, very important for us to identify and screen. And last but not least, for me, this is part of awareness and training. We have to inform to our family members, colleagues, and so on. Why? Because we have to make sure that we are not the next victim untuk fraud activity dan sebagainya.
Definitely don't want to be the next victim. Okay. All right, then, Mark, the concluding remarks from you.
Thank you. So basically, screening is just one of those due diligence practices that you will use, but it's not a crystal ball. I think a lot of people assume that if I use it, then I don't have a problem moving forward.
Yeah.
So, people need to know that ongoing monitoring is very important, and so that they don't fall prey. But still, screening is like a filtering process, right? I would like to explain to a lot of my customers or even people that I speak to. You can only, although you already have something in place, but that doesn't mean that you can fix it all. There's no one size fit all solution. Just like any water filter, you've got many, many different layers. So even in screening, there are many different layers in screening. So depending on so you need to look at what kind of risk that you have versus what type of people that you're screening against. So if you're dealing with something much higher in value or in risk, then you need to have more screening levels. And it's applied to basically just like what the Bank Negara rulings are. They got very good standards. We'll say basically screen based on what your risk, you will do your own risk assessment, then only you apply the correct type of screening. Otherwise, you're making a lot of assumptions and you're using the wrong.
Come back and bite you then, yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes your screen tool may not be enough to actually, to help you.
Understood. Okay, very good. Thank you so much for your time. Before we conclude, I think we're going to be playing a quick public service announcement, right? Which is a new innovation from Malaysia Kini. So maybe, okay, there you go. So this is something that just hot off the screen or something, right? So this is a new product that has been created, right, by it's a collaboration it came out from Kini Labs, and Kini Labs is a subsidiary of Malaysia Kini, and they've teamed up actually to develop this is a simulator game, right, to uncover tricks of online scammers. So you play this and it creates actually awareness and education. It discusses different types of online scams, including job scams, investment scams, love scams, right? Goodness me, people keep getting conned there. Macau mule scams also. So you can definitely please scan the QR code, right, to play the game. You can take action to really equip yourself, right, and how to avoid scams. So this is a great initiative by Malaysia Kini and Kini Lab. So there's also a link here that you can already right in front of me. I'm repeating that. Please play this out, right, and educate yourself, right, and share the link also with your friends and all that, and colleagues and family. With that, now, thank you so much for all of you for staying online, right, till the very end. We appreciate the privilege of your time, and we hope you benefited from this. Thanks to the panelists, and we look forward to Top in Tech, the next episode. Thank you all, and have a very good rest of Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karam. Thanks,
Thank
Kian.
you.
Welcome.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Nice.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Bye.
In the business world, we all know that success is only possible when there is trust, whether it is from your employees, customers, or partners. At Verity Intelligence, our vision is to make the world a safer place, one community at a time, by ensuring that everyone you meet, you can trust. We believe that trust begins with the people you hire. When you hire good people, they will do good things. And that is exactly what Verity Intelligence does. We help good people get jobs and help companies hire good people. This is where our journey started. Our employment screening services go beyond the ordinary. We are able to verify every detail to ensure you are not just hiring someone with the right skills, but also someone with the integrity you need. Every year, we assist hundreds of organizations in saving millions of dollars from potential losses due to negligent hiring and fraudulent business transactions. Established in 2010, today, Verity Intelligence is recognized as one of the leading background check companies in Malaysia and Singapore. We work with over 70 financial institutions and screen over 100,000 people annually. More importantly, we ensure 100% Bank Negara Malaysia BNM compliance and help you meet your organization's due diligence requirements. Our story doesn't stop there. Our commitment to trust but verify now extends to screening your customers, vendors, and suppliers. And that is where HaloCheck comes in. At HaloCheck, our goal is to identify potential risks and stop fraud so you can interact with confidence instantly. With immediate search results and report generation, we can give you that assurance, as well as ensure you meet all regulatory compliance with just one check. Serving as a one-stop platform for secure onboarding, seamless compliance, and due diligence, HaloCheck is your proactive defense, empowering anyone to make informed decisions. In a world of uncertainties, Verity Intelligence and HaloCheck are your trust guardians. Secure your team, protect your business. Let's build a future where trust is never compromised. Join us to make the world a safer place, one community at a time.